pull this up on my channel. No idea if anybody will want to watch, but and we can mute this. I don't need to hear myself talking back. All right. I'm going to work today for the next hour or maybe hour and a half, probably about an hour, towards finishing up this guitar right here. This is a Dreadnaught that I'm building. Indian rosewood back and sides, nice piece of wood on there. Sitka spruce top. It's got an armrest here. So yeah, this is, very close to being done. I'm going to try to get it done today. Oh, I want to go grab a couple things. Because if I do get this done, I'm going to want to make a label for it. Gonna try to get to that point. We'll see, maybe won't. First thing I gotta do though is I got a little polishing to do here around the bridge. I'd had to do quite a bit of that. What was I looking for? I am looking for this. And this. There we go. So I spent a bunch of time polishing this yesterday. I think I can finish this up just hand polishing. I shouldn't need to do any more machine polishing. And the goal here today is hopefully I'll be able to get this strung up today. It is close enough I maybe can actually get it finished today, but my guess is probably won't. I don't want to spend a huge amount of time here because I am at the end of the day and I got very little sleep last night, so I can get just a little bit of this done. Get it a little closer to being done. That would be good. Unfortunately, this sanding or polishing right next to a bridge like this is just awful. It's my least favorite sort of activity amongst, in the polishing world. And I don't like polishing at the best times. It's a pain. But especially trying to get right into this corner. I don't know. I know there's lots of builders out there who like to do their finishing with the bridge on. I do not understand that. I do not understand how they get it to look good. It can be done, but it is so much work. If anybody actually shows up. Well, that one watching is me. Everything about right next to the bridge looks great. But this down in this corner, it's a problem. So let's more of this polishing compound soon. We don't do so much polishing that I don't run through this stuff slowly, but we do use it. I just put a little in a cup there so that I can just put it in a Q-tip and use that to try to get right into this corner. Excuse this awful sound. There's 2 people here. Well, I already said it, but I'll say it again. I'm working on getting closer to being finished with this new Hoffman Dreadnaught. Indian rosewood back and sides, and Sitka spruce top. With a armrest with a very simple bit of trim work for the armrest, which is certainly more cost effective than the fancier ones, but I do like them all. I like the fancier ones too. But you know, having an armrest like this is one of those things, it really does improve the comfort of the guitar, which is nice. And especially is good on a Dreadnaught or a Jumbo where, you know, it's a really big guitar. Especially our Dreadnoughts are really big guitars. And so it's a good idea to have the armrest on there. Helps a lot. You get that Dreadnought shoulder thing going when you're cranking your arm out like that. And this helps to keep that from happening. At any rate, a few people watching. If you have any questions, please ask. As awful as this sound is, the front edge of the bridge isn't so bad, actually. That mostly got done with the buffing wheel, but you just can't get the buffing wheel into this curve back here. It's that it's getting there. We're getting close. Yeah, I'm making a lot of dad noises lately. Back has been bad. Well, nobody wants to hear me complain, right? Grab a couple tools here. This is just some very good quality 4/0 steel wool that I use to clean the ebony up here. Few marks on it, but also some polishing compound that got onto it. Oh, I should actually mention, the videos for it haven't come out yet, but the guitar that I've been working on repairing that will come out sooner rather than later is a very cool 1955 0018. At any rate, this is for sale. Not 100% sure what the price is going to be on it because I have to talk to a friend about that yet. There's a customer here. I'm setting up a second microphone. Give me just a second. Oh, actually, one other thing I want to do. I've got a room-to-room fan here that helps us to keep the back room and the front room closer in temperature than they actually are normally. Should turn it off if I'm doing a live, I think, because it's very loud. All right, 2 microphones going. Hopefully they don't get weird. If they do, please tell me. So at any rate, this is a 1955 0018 single owner. And well, I was finishing it up literally as I was just getting, I was working on the last steps of the refret when they called me, but his estate called me and told me that that he had passed away. It is beat up, as you can see, but it is the original bridge. Pretty much everything on here is original except for the bridge plate and bridge pins. But other than that, everything on here is original. I even reused the nut. It did get shimmed, but it is the original nut. Oh, and the frets are new. I refretted it. And this, in my opinion, is the thing that all the relic guys are trying to do and always fail to do. I think this is one of the most beautiful old guitars I've ever seen. Sort of beat up old guitars I've ever seen. So I'm not sure exactly what the sale price will be. I've got it up right now at $3 grand, but I'm not gonna swear to that until I've talked to a friend of mine who is a dealer in such things. So yeah, this is for sale. If you want it, give me a call. It's a very cool guitar. When I was recording the repair on that guitar, I actually did it all sort of as ASMR, so that'll be a thing. At any rate, back to this guy. Just a little bit more here. All right. Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's good. And grab a couple other things over here. Oh, look at that. I'm getting low on razor blades. I'm going to have to buy more soon. So, gotta clean the fingerboard here. I think I will probably be able to get this at least strung up today. Hopefully get the truss rod cover made. Here's a question. Got two possible truss rod covers here. Got this one, they're both ebony. This one's very black. This one's got some really pronounced brown streaks to it. I think they're both very cool. I'm trying to decide which one is appropriate for the guitar. Hopefully that's a good aim. A little hard to tell where I'm aiming things when I'm looking at a time lapse over there. We got that one, just sort of goes right there. So we've got the stripy one, and we've got the black one. Both are ebony. I'm kind of leaning towards the black one. I think that with everything else on this guitar, I think it's going to look better. But hey, if you've got an opinion, let me know. And the brown one is, the stripy brown one is very pretty. Just don't think it's right for this guitar. The whole finishing process and all, you always end up with a little bit of schmutz on the fingerboard. This has actually been through the fret dress already, so this was all cleaned up at one point, but then I had to do some more finish work on it. Just some, sort of cleaning up and polishing and all that, but that always gets stuff on the fingerboard. So. Other thing I'm trying to decide, and all of my employees have one opinion that I'm not sure I agree with, but I'm not sure I don't. My employees tend to bully me into things when I'm building guitars. Is do I put on a pickguard on here? So I've got a few options. None of these are quite perfect yet. They will require some work. Got that one. That one's a little bit, let's move this camera back over here. That one I think is a little too pepperoni. I don't know. It's a nice piece of plastic. I don't love the color, but I love the swirliness of it. I think it's very attractive. So that's one possibility. This one is a more sort of classical pepperoni that people love to hate. And I can understand why. And so those two are in the very classic Hoffman Guitars pickguard shape, which I do love and I do want to do more of again. But then the other two I've got, this one, I like the color of this a lot, this browner color, but this pickguard is just very heavy and I don't love that. And then the other thing I've got for on here, possibly, would be this one, which is a nice weight. I like the color. Wish it was a bigger, with a bigger full Hoffman size, but it's okay. These all need to be polished, but that's, sanded and polished. But that's because almost all of our celluloid is from stuff that Dad bought back in the early 80s. We've gone through a lot of it, but he bought a lot of it. And so it's sort of, celluloid does develop surface imperfections over that much time, especially when it's in a dirty, dusty shop, and especially if you leave the plastic on it. Every now and then I will comment somewhere about you have to take the protective plastic off of your pick guards, because if you don't, then over time gases will build up between the plastic and the pick guard, and it'll actually cause pitting in your pick guard. And that's not something that can't be fixed, just wet sand and polish it, which is what I would have to do with any of those pick guards. A couple of those were probably made by my dad, which is always exciting when I get to use parts that he made. But yeah, you can avoid that by just taking the plastic off. You don't need it. All right, that. Let's put some lemon oil on these unfinished bits. But yeah, if you got an opinion on those pick guards, I'd love to hear it. On new guitars or on repair work, I almost always use lemon oil like this, except when I'm working on old vintage guitars and doing a refret on an old vintage guitar, at which point I will almost always use boiled linseed oil, because the boiled linseed oil gives you a really cool patina that sort of matches the old patina on the rest of the guitar, which I think is really cool. I mean, the pickguard and the bridge are just really black. I think that they're really dark. I think that for the truss rod cover, we're going to have to go with the black one. I think that is just the right choice. So that'll need some work yet, of course. All right. And then let's grab some, but yeah, on that 0018 that I've just finished repairing, and that videos will be forthcoming shortly. If you're interested in it, do get in touch, because the owner's estate could definitely use the money. Sadly, well, I don't want to share too much, but his son had passed away a few months before he did, and so there's nobody to inherit the guitar, except for his older brother. And so, we don't want to. It would be good to get it moved fast, get them that money as quick as we can, but I've been given permission to negotiate in their stead, because they really don't know what the value of it is, and so I am going to make sure they get what they should get. There's a scratch there I'll have to get, but that is not for right now, though. Be easily gotten later. All right. Getting this ready to put strings back on it, but before I do that, I do want to make a label for it. So I don't have the glue for that, but I can go get it. So sure I'm not showing too much personal information here. Give me just a second. I need to go grab a post-it note. All right. This is our serial number book. It's got the last line, column has got people's names of who owned the guitars originally, but it's got all sorts of information about every guitar. And yeah, so I am a bit of a goof and enjoy silly things. And so when I am making up labels, I use a glass dip pen, which is totally absurd, and there's no reason for it at all. But it's what I do. So this is the ink I'm using is Noodler's Fox Red. Go back and forth on inks. I've done a lot of them with, I've got Noodler's Bay State Blue, which is a beautiful color, but is also not super archival. So I don't use it a whole lot. All right, so this is, well, signature first. When I first, this is my professional signature, not my financial signature. The bank has something very different. When I first started to build the main line of Hoffman guitars here, I had to relearn my signature because it was terrible. And the other thing I do is, it is a continuation of Dad's serial numbers, but I add a -G at the end. So that is 672-G. And what is today's date? Today is the 4th of March. (2026). All right. And then I need to enter the guitar into the serial number book. Most of the book is stuff that I, at one point for my dad's birthday, I typed up everything in the serial number book for him so that he had a computerized version of it. I think I've lost that file, and I don't think I'm likely to find it. So I'm going to have to redo it all over again, which is going to be fun, although maybe I can, maybe I can just scan it in and the computer can figure it out. But all right, March. 2026. 672-G. This is a Dreadnaught. It is Indian Rosewood and Sitka. its special features here. So it is co-binding. It is rosewood purfling. Yes, my handwriting is awful, and I don't deserve to be using such a nice pen and such nice ink. But it's what I like to use. Let's see here. So perfect. Oh yes, armrest. That's really it. This guitar is going to go up on the wall for $6,000. Again, if you're interested, let me know. It has had strings on it before. This won't be its first stringing. This is just, they got taken off for doing some finish work. This is not an expensive dip pen, glass dip pen. Can't afford expensive pens and frankly don't really want them. But they are things that give me some joy. All right. I need to go and get some adhesive for that label. Which is back in the spray booth, so you'll just have to give me a minute. Won't be long. Normally do this in the spray booth, but want to be visible, right? I despise spray adhesive like this. It gets on your arms, it gets in your arm hairs, it's just gross. It just gets everywhere and it's disgusting. That's all it needs, just a little bit. Then this needs to go turned upside down in the trash can. And then you spray it until it stops coming out, and then you've got your nozzle cleared. And we let that cure for a little bit. Don't do this at home, kids. Solvents aren't good things to put on your skin, but I gotta get this glue off of me. And I don't really want to go into the bathroom and wash my hands at the moment, so. Oh, fire truck going by. Tell you, one of the things that's been disconcerting during the whole ICE occupation of my city is that we have been hearing a lot more ambulances and a lot more fire trucks, and I don't know why. It doesn't make much sense to me. Before I can actually put that on, I need to clean out in here a bit. Much sawdust right where I want to put that. use the noise of the vacuum, but I do need to get this cleaned out. Not be needing that hide glue, so we'll unplug it. All right. And let's give that a quick blow with the air. Looks good. I do not know of a way for me to show this on a camera. At least not on a live. Yeah, that'll do. Looks good. A little off center, but it's a hand-built guitar. It's a hand-placed label. And it is nice and square, so we're going to be happy. Just put a little piece of parchment paper over it so that I can give it some good pressure. Let's see if we can get that angled in a way. Put a light inside of there. Oh no, can you see that in there? Let the video catch up. Yeah, a little bit. Here, tip it forward a bit. Should help. So there you go. There is the label put in. This is just a little bike light. We cut off the clip and stuck some magnets to the back of it. Works great. I adore these. Very useful for when you're trying to see inside of a guitar while you're working on it. All right, yeah, let's put some strings on here. Gotta go grab those though. Put on medium. Yes. Those are those things. I have started of late on guitars that are going on the wall using the D'Addario XTs. For my personal guitars, I'm still using just the uncoated phosphor bronze. But for guitars that are going to be played by a lot of people, I like to have something a little bit more durable. Something that can handle somebody who's got some nasty sweat, stuff like that. I'll ask again before I do this. What do y'all think about pickguards? That's the traditional Hoffman shape. That's one color. There's another. And we've also got these sort of Hoffman variations on a teardrop. It's got this little bit there that is similar to what Dad's big ones are. There's one color. That's my favorite color and my favorite material. I don't have much of that. I don't have enough of that to do a big one. It's not like I can get it anymore. And that one, I love that color, but it's just this pickguard material is very heavy. So if you have an opinion on pick cards, I'd love to hear it. This is my last set of bridge pins, so I'm going to have to get more. It's got to go in a little further. This guitar has been strung up before, but I've not done a final setup on it at any point. So I have no idea how playable it's going to be. I don't like my bridge pins super tight. I want them to fit properly, but I don't want them to be, like Martin tends to set their bridge pins so that they're pretty proud. They stick up a lot. I've been told that that's because they assume they're going to wear in, and I suppose since they're using plastic bridge pins, there's some truth to that. But I have never liked the way they fit. You know, there's a lot of good things I will say about Martins. I think they are the most consistently great guitars of any manufacturer. There's not an era where I think Martin was just making terrible guitars. There's eras which are not as nice, but there's no era that's bad. And that comes from having worked on a ton of them from a lot of different eras. A lot of people will complain about the 70s era Martins, and well, it is true that they are not as, you know, the sound is not as powerful, it's not, you know, it's not as complex, it's not as, you know, they're just not as great as the 30s or 40s or even the 50s. But they're not bad. They're never bad. They're always great guitars. They're just not as great. Oh, listen to that. So the one thing about Martins that on every era, as near as I can tell, I think they just don't get right, is I think their bridge pins just stick up too much. All right. Let's get the strings back on here. Yes. I guess I didn't need to do that. There are a million different ways to put strings on a guitar, and most of them are fine. The thing you want to be careful about, that battery is dying, is that you're neat while you're doing it, and that you don't that you put on enough winds around the tuners, but not too many. So what does that mean? What's too many? What's not enough? I actually vary the number of winds on the tuners depending on the string. I couldn't give you exact numbers, but there's quite a lot more winds on the unwound, you know, the treble strings than there is on the bass strings. Particularly if you compare the high E and the low E, because the low E you can only fit on most tuners 1.5 winds. But I want to try to match the break angle over the nut with all of the strings. And in order to do that, you need to put more winds on the treble strings, because if you think about it, those treble strings are much thinner. And so each wrap brings it lower, makes less difference in how far down the post it goes. So rather than doing this sort of famous luthier's knot, where you go around and then yank the string up, I cut them beforehand, and then I do one wrap on top of the wind, the sort of stubby end, the cut off end, and then the rest of the wraps go down. And again, as the low E string will have 1.5 to 2 wraps, and then as you go up to the high E string, you get more and more wraps, all in an effort to try and keep the break angle of the string over the nut roughly equal. It's not going to be perfectly equal, but roughly equal. All right. Pick I got from my dad when he died, which he got a long, long time ago, which is real tortoiseshell. I use it because it was my dad's. There's absolutely no reason to try and get real tortoiseshell picks. They are really awful. Getting all those noises. You do get some sounds when you first string up a guitar. But everything's nice and solid. It's just they just settle in. don't think I show this often enough. And you hear me see me reaching out and flicking my tuning fork. That's what it is. It's just a spruce box with a knob for the tuning fork on it. One of my employees gives me a hard time for tuning by ear because I've got thousands of dollars worth of tuners. Got 2 real analog strobe tuners, plus I've got one of the digital strobe tuners. These guys. But I like tuning by ear. And, you know, digital tuners have their place, and they would do, you know, there are things you have to use them for. If I'm doing intonation, obviously you need one. This has already had its wildwood flower. It is important to note that I don't know how important it is. It's important to me. Thank you, David. The first song ever played on any Hoffman guitar has to be Wildwood Flower. It's also important that it's not a very good rendition, because my dad was not a great guitar player. But like I said, this guitar has been strung up before. I'm just, yeah, once we like to string them up well before we actually finish them. And let them sit under string tension for a while. But a lot of the times they need some finish touch up, or you know, just little jobs to finish things up. You know, Wildwood Flower is not sort of in the repertoire of what I used to play when I was playing more. I was always trying to be a jazz guitar player. Let's do that. I think I started building this guitar been about a year and a half, 2 years ago, probably closer to 2 years ago. This kind of got sidelined. I got, as it got close to being finished, there was some issues around the bridge that I had to deal with. And anytime that sort of finish work thing, sort of stuff happens, I kind of get not super motivated to work on something. And I have so much repair work to work on, so it's like, doing something that's sort of outside of my normal chain of events on building a guitar is difficult. All right, so what do we think then on truss rod covers? I got the two. Let's see if we can get this. There is this one, which is pretty black, pretty dark. I don't know if that shows up real well, but. So there's that one. Or there is this one. But it's kind of flashy for this guitar, I think. But it also kind of, the actual pighead overlay is not super dark. It's got a lot of sort of reddish browns to it. It is ebony, but it's got a lot of reddish brown to it. I was thinking this one, but I think I might be thinking that one, just because I think the reddish color. Yeah, the red one, or the stripy one. I think that's what I think too. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I was leaning pretty strongly towards the other one, just because the rest of the ebony on here is not real flashy. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. All right. Well, I have not eaten dinner, and I have to go home. So this is going to have to wait for another night. But I might hop on live when I do that again, just because I can't sort of do repair work on live because I don't want to advertise that I have other people's expensive guitars. But finishing up this sort of stuff, or even working on new guitars, is certainly something I can do. And, these are something that, getting these truss rod covers made is something I do at my bench, so it's something I can easily do here. So, anyway, I gotta go home and get some food in me. But, yeah, thanks for coming. Have a nice day.